Everyone, I thought it was important to share with you an experience that changed my mind permanently from what it was prior to going through this, my own campaign. Um, Sometimes issues will come into your life that are very meaningful, that can destroy your character, destroy your inner self-worthiness that you might see yourself. Such was the thing that happened to me. When I began to meet with the members of this group, Pacific members, and I was telling them about this campaign, and we have a gentleman who lives in Nigeria, Romeo Ninas, and I posted out his comments about how he felt elevated against any situation that he encountered. And we will interview him as well so you can have him to share his spirit, okay? But something started happening in my life that I couldn't see the significance of it at the time that it occurred. I had a bill that I was paying every month. And for some reason, I just stopped paying the bill. I just stopped. I was just fed up with it. I was paying the bank exorbitant amount of money each and every month. And it seems like there was no way that that bill was going to be paid off. So I said, screw it. And I did. I didn't pay it. So in institutions, when you don't pay them, they come out at you in all forms and fashion. Brother, they're going to burn your house down if they can. They want their money. And then they get real nasty because they will get attorneys. So throughout the course of my experience, this issue, um, I was still meeting with the members in this group while not sharing with the members what I was going through. It stressed me out tremendously. There was nights that I couldn't sleep, but in spite of that, I kept repeating to myself, I am made in the image and likeness of the Creator. I kept telling myself that. And every day I would get calls from the collectors. And before I got on the phone call, I would say the same thing. And believe it or not, and I tell you honestly, my experiences, each person that I talked to as I explained the nature of that bill was so sympathetic and they understood it. They understood what my reasons were. We didn't get confrontational. It wasn't an angry conversation. I was getting nasty to them. They were getting nasty to me. We shared each other humanness, the way that we are as people. And I was able to find that in them, each person I talked to. As a matter of fact, throughout the course of the collection calls that I had, each and every day, it was like 9 o'clock a.m. in the morning. And you would have to prepare yourself for the emotional turmoil that those calls would make. But before I took the call, I repeated to myself, I am the living image made in the likeness of the Creator. So I entertained those calls with that spirit. And each time when I finished the discussion with the collector, I was so pleased to know how we were able to talk to each other. And I say that to say this, at one time in my life, I was a bill collector. Yes, I called people and I wanted their money because there was a payment due and they hadn't made it. And I learned the tactical means of tormenting people. I did. And I thought on those experiences when those collectors was talking to me. It was horrible. Each month that passed into this not making the payment, it got more severe. The loan was involved with a house that I had purchased. I took out what is called an equity loan, and I sold the house. And actually, the loan should have been paid off at the time the house was sold. It was not paid off. Those are the things that you can encounter that happens. Mine was one of those rare moments that happened to me. So that was some of the reason why I was upset with having to pay that note. Even though my payment went from $90 a month up to $380 a month, I was still making those payments. But in spite of that, it was the right thing to do what I did. But subsequent, it was the wrong thing that I did when I did not make the payment. So I was told by the banking industry that, sir, we're going to foreclose on that house. Now, I want you to understand what that means. That house was sold on December the 30th of 2015. The house was sold to another person, another family. They were living in that house. And I was weighted down with the fact that these people who trusted me when they purchased the house, that the bank was going to foreclose on their home. I felt awfully bad about that because it wasn't my fault, even though there was a clause in the contract that there was an outside source that guaranteed that the home was free of any incumbent liens. That was not honored. So I kept making that an argument to the bank, and they understood it quite well. But the bank had set the date, I think it was March the 4th, that the house was going to be foreclosed on. So a good, honest family who purchased the house from me, house was going to be foreclosed on because I stopped paying the loan that I thought should have been paid off at closing. I consulted with attorneys. They said, look, if you knew the amount should have been paid off, it wasn't paid off, that was your responsibility. Even though I told the attorneys, I said, look, guys, honestly speaking, I thought that was taken care of. And they said, well, the judge is not going to see it that way. So I was kind of caught in a very tough predicament, being in a situation where somebody was getting ready to lose their home because of me. So it was almost a week before the foreclosure was going to take place. And the bank sent me out an ultimatum. Pay this amount by this time, or else the house will be sold. I went and got every penny I had in my savings and my checking. I sent them the money. I was blessed. I had prayed and asked that I would be able to do that. And I was blessed to be able to send a check to the bank. I was able to send a check to the bank. And I was left with $11, $5 in my savings account, and it may have been $6 or $7 in my checking. That's all I had. But I felt good that I was able to get all of that money up and send it to the bank to stop the foreclosure. But this is something I need you guys to really understand. And I can validate it with documents to show you. So the bank called me and said, well, we're not going to foreclose on the home because I wired the money into the institution. And I'm sorry, this is somewhat of a long story, but you got to let me share it. This is my personal experience. Normally, I don't share this. But throughout it all, I kept repeating to myself that I am the living image made in the likeness of the Creator. So the bank stopped the foreclosure, and I talked to one of my friends who was an attorney. He said, well, what the bank is probably going to do is set you up with another note, and they're going to add legal fees on top of the money, or they are either going to foreclose on the house, and then the owner will turn around and sue you, which means that you got to pay another $15,000, $20,000 for a law attorney to cover the issues. So I could have been in debt beyond estimation. So acting by faith, I sent the money into the bank. And I can't begin to tell you this except that you just believe what I'm getting ready to say. It was 2 weeks after the bank received the wire amount that I sent to them. I don't want to get into specifics of that. It was a lot of money. And I did so because there was no way in my heart I could let that man or that family be put out because of my failure to do what was considered to be responsible. As the lawyers whom I talked to said that I was at fault. I didn't argue with them about it. There was not a need to do that. But the bank called me as I began to call them back to ensure that everything was okay. Then I spoke to one party. I gave them the loan, the account number, and they said, sir, that loan has been paid off. And when I heard that, they said that loan has been paid off. I had no idea what that meant at the time. And furthermore, I was told that the money that I sent into the bank that was sent in good faith to prevent the foreclosure was coming back to me in full amount. So I can't explain to you how it happened, as I conferred with one gentleman who had been counseling with me. He said, maybe the Lord works in mysterious ways. I got to share this story with you, and you got to believe what I am telling you. I felt like the lowest person in the world because I knew that I was going to inherit more debt because the loan would have added additional attorney fees on top of it that I would probably be paying for the rest of my years on the planet Earth. But yet and still, I received word, a call really. The bank called me and said the loan had been paid off. And I didn't know what to do. Just imagine you were in my shoes. You got a huge amount that you owe, and you're told that it's paid off. I didn't ask anybody at the bank to do that. I told no one. I can't tell you nothing. The fact that there's an institution that I discovered the name of the business that actually paid that loan off. Now, maybe somewhere within that banking industry or that institution, of the many collectors I talked to, and all of them was very nice. Somebody knew a way out that what I was in. And today I don't know who that person was. But that loan was paid off in full, and I received every penny that I sent to the bank came back to me. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago. So now I'm back on my feet again. I am sharing this with you so you will hear a testimony that I'm giving to you, what happened to me. Never in my life had I experienced anything like that. Never had I went through such torment personally. And even though the more the stress got onto me, the more I repeated to myself who I am. So listen, everybody, please, if you will, take, do not take for granted what I'm sharing with you. It's real. If I can make copies of the documents, if my wife will allow me, I'll post that out. I don't mind. This is my testimony, but it happened to me. And maybe because I began to understand who I was on this planet Earth, as I want you to understand who you are. You are made in the image and likeness of the Creator. You are His image on this earth. He is you and you are Him. He is your Father. Call Him that. So everybody, I thank you. I hope that you listen to what I have to say. If you want to question me about this, I will provide my telephone number. You can call me. I will tell you specific details. I have no issue because I think it's a testimony that you need to hear. And please share with me as we go through this 30-day campaign. If you are encountering something in your life and confirming to yourself the affirmation of who you are, if it helps you, please let me know. Tyrone McLean, and I thank you so much for your time. Be blessed, everyone. Have a good night.